Hello, friends. Welcome to Indigo Sangha this Monday night. It is lovely to be with you for our first ever Be-In. I have no idea what we're in store for this evening, but here we go. So tonight, what we'll do is enjoy our sitting meditation. And then we will go ahead and start our sharings. I hope that most of you anyway have brought a little something to share with the group. And I can go over when it comes time how we can do that to move things along for the evening. So I have a lot of lightness in my heart looking forward to it. So let's go ahead and find our posture for this evening. And I hope you all enjoyed the cartoon that ushered us in this evening. The monks. What do we want? Mindfulness. When do we want it? Now. So, little levity. Let's go ahead and find our posture. We want to feel our feet on the earth beneath us. Allow the weight of our body to settle into our seat. Feel our body relax. And notice our in-breath and our out-breath. And as we sit, we will invite our body to continue to relax, our breaths continue to lengthen, and our mind to continue to calm. Body, speech, and mind in perfect oneness, I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness and transcend all anxiety and sorrow. Listen, listen, the sound of the bell brings us back to our true home. Present moment, wonderful moment. Present moment, only moment. Well, so Be In is simply a time for us to get together and be creative with one another and share some of the things that we have enjoyed with our friends. And what I thought we could do is start our offerings now. I don't know how long it will take because there aren't that many of us, but we can plan on using the rest of our time for our sharing, or if we have shared everything that we wish to share, then we can close our evening with another sit. So we'll play this a little by ear. And I would encourage us all to unmute our microphones. This is a community event, so there's no reason to be too formal about this. And if you have something that you would like to share, you can bow in and you'll have the floor. And if you are enjoying what's being shared, you can always offer flowers, water the flowers in your fellow Sangha members. From time to time, I may invite the sound of the bell. And if I do that, I just invite us all to come back for a few moments and just return to our breathing and be aware that we are here together online in this wonderful opportunity. Yes, so go ahead and unmute yourself. And, you know, it's always, these things are always awkward when we begin. So I'm going to start.
You can start.
We don't need to ask for a volunteer because I raised my hand. And what I did was I was really trying to figure out what I was going to be offering this evening. And I spent all week kind of thinking of different ideas. And I kind of had a sense that maybe I would, you know, write something. And this morning I woke up and it became very clear to me that I was going to write a series of limericks. So that's what I have to share with everyone this evening, is a series of limericks. And I will start with the first three, and I might jump in later and share some more. So here we go. We gather together each week. We walk and we sit and we speak, letting go of the story, the fight and the glory. It's joy and peace that we seek. That's the first one. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and well, I'll tell you that later. Okay. Second one. The weed, it grew in a crack. To friends, it spoke nothing but smack. Along came a mower, and life got much lower. Now weeds is helping neighbors grow back. Finally, there once, oh, sorry, nope, scratch that. There was an old master of Zen who knew what is now is of when. That this is of that, and that is of this. Right and wrong, it really depends.
That's a good one.
Very good.
So this is Heather bowing out, and I'm going to invite us to enter into speaker view. So when you have up in that top right-hand corner, you can just press speaker view and you'll be able to really be present with whoever's sharing. So thank you. Heather bowing out.
One bowing in.
Okay, right.
Am I in?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm in or not.
We hear you, Ron.
We hear
Okay.
you.
Okay, good. You can hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
You too.
Oh,
Yeah.
good. good, I think. Um, I I want you to help me make a choice. I have a story about my nature sanctuaries through my life, or quotes from John Lewis and my experience at the Battery. Which would you like to hear?
I'd like to hear the nature.
I would
Nature?
like the nature too.
Oh, okay, good, good. Okay, so I'm gonna read it from my phone. As a child, my family spent a week every summer at the beach. Driving there, one could see the glimmering ocean from a mile away. I would get very excited, for there I felt free, away from my workaholic's dad's abuse and a burdened mom's relieved depression. I would look over the bent. Even then, it was obvious that Earth was not flat, shining horizon, and wonder what was on the other side. We would play on the beach until late at night in gleeful joy. My next elated sense of freedom was as a teenager, hitchhiking away from a very dysfunctional family destination unknown. As a young adult, Nixon was president and was elected promising peace in Vietnam. My brother was over there flying helicopters, and I was not there because of him. He wrote me a letter while I was in officer training not to come there. He admired the Vietnamese people and did not believe we belonged there. And also, I'd read many articles and saw a documentary that the mistake we had going there. And plus, two brothers were not allowed there at the same time anyway. So I dropped out of officer training school and I was sent to Alaska instead. Going from Fort Benning, Georgia to Fairbanks, Alaska in December was not a picnic. It was the coldest month in the history of that state. At that time, averaging minus 44 and below 60 several times. We had to play war games and many soldiers got frostbite. To make the story shorter, I was thankfully transferred to the medical corps and was sent to a much warmer Anchorage to run a lab based on my experience before the Army. This Anchorage was like a relative paradise and was more like a real job getting the weekends off, which I used to hike and climb mountains. We did not carry guns, which was an anathema in Alaska, and the animals appeared to see us with as no danger. The scattered homesteaders welcomed us, for their local wildlife in their acreage was like their pets, and they did their hunting miles away. Mountain goats, moose, ptarmigans, birds much like chickens, and even a grizzly with cubs did not shy away from us, although we kept our respectful distance. I fell in love with Alaska. However, when receiving an early out to go to graduate school, I gratefully accepted it. Making a long story short, I ended up in Florida working as a clinical pathologist, an ASCP, not an MD, and continued my love affair with the ocean. And their girlfriend who wanted to sail away with me, and I was very happy to go with her. We lucked out and found a very seaworthy sailboat in Miami, and a long cruise in the Bahamas was an escape that I needed. I was really frustrated that Nixon kept the war going years after promising peace. Then my brother, the day after his 22nd birthday, was blown away with only 2 weeks left. He was attempting a rescue and landed on top of some tunnels. They killed everyone on board except Bear's co-pilot, who barely survived and lived to tell the story on national TV, which is another long story. When I returned from that cruise, I read a newspaper the first time in a long time and saw the headline that said, President Ford. President Ford. I was dumbfounded and relieved. I didn't even know about Watergate, which I was glad about. But this time with President Trump, again, I wanted to escape. However, I decided to stay and be an activist to help rid ourselves of this treacherous man. I was over 70, had nothing to lose and nothing to prove. So instead of a full retreat, unfortunately, only a few miles away, I could take several week retreats to the ocean several times a week. For me, nature provides a unique opportunity to reconnect with the stillness inside, which is the source of our deepest wisdom. Not just for beauty, peace, and solitude, there's an aliveness at the place where salt water intermingles with fresh water, there at the Folly River Inlet. There's more fish, more birds, where the mix makes it a favorite feeding place. A large benefit is that the wind blowing off the ocean at that river is of the purest on the planet. Off that ocean, wind blowing off that ocean instead. There's no island between this inlet and the Straits of Gibraltar on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean, especially with the mighty Gulf Stream and the Sargasso Sea further out, which are powerful air purifiers. I'm reminded how vital it is to maintain our connection to nature wherever we call home. When I lived in California, I felt this connection through the towering redwoods, the rocky Pacific coast, the majestic beauty of Yosemite and Mount Shasta. In nature's presence, I can feel a profound sense of awe, which has been defined as a mix of reverence, fear, and wonder. Photographer Nicholas Hexaby summed it up nicely when he said, "Without awe cannot be truly alive." I have some photographs of sunset last night. I don't know if it show up. But anyway, just one more. This was post, I lost it. The post sunset, here it is. The post sunset was the most beautiful. Like usual, I just kept going and going and going and going. I had a hard time leaving. It was another hour before I left, and I even walked out backwards, a long walk back to the car. Almost, it's so gorgeous. It's streaming pink out from the clouds. It was just amazing. So anyway, that's my story about my sanctuary in nature.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ron. Chris bowing in. I want to share with you a poem by Billy Collins that I love. It's called The Revenant. Many of you have probably heard it before. I am the dog you put to sleep, as you like to call the needle of oblivion. Come back to tell you this simple thing. I never liked you. When I licked your face, I thought of biting off your nose. When I watched you toweling yourself dry, I wanted to leap and unman you with a snap. I resented the way you moved, your lack of animal grace, and the way you would sit in a chair to eat. A napkin on your lap, a knife in your hand. I would have run away, but I was too weak. A trick you taught me while I was learning to sit and heal. And greatest of insults, shake hands without a hand. I admit the sight of the leash would excite me, but only because it meant I was about to smell things you had never touched. You don't want to believe this, but I have no reason to lie. I hated the car, the rubber toys, disliked your friends and worse, your relatives. The jingling of the tags drove me mad. You've always scratched me in the wrong place. And all I ever wanted from you was food and fresh water in my metal bowls. When you slept, I watched you breathe. As the moon rose in the sky, it took all my strength not to raise my head and howl. Now I'm free of the collar, the yellow raincoat, the monogram sweater, the absurdity of your lawn. And that is all you need to know about this place, except what you already supposed, and are glad it did not happen sooner. That everyone here can read and write, the dogs in poetry, the cats, and all the others in prose.
That's good.
Oh, I like that.
Very nice.
Deborah bowing in. I, like Heather, spent the week thinking about what I was going to do and flipping through magazines and books trying to find a poem. And then I think it was yesterday, I just thought, write something yourself. So what I wrote was what the coronavirus taught me. I can very easily throw caution to the wind and eat every edible thing in sight. But I also possess the discipline to embark on a challenge to become vegan, practically eliminating every deliciously devilish thing in sight. I learned that I could go even higher through meditation and sitting in the seat of awareness. But by going low and touching the ground, I could compost, create, and plant a beautiful garden. I mourned social gatherings with friends, seeing and physically touching loved ones, yet celebrated those same relationships, knowing that I am beyond blessed for having them. I realized that the virus had a sense of humor when I did not completely lose my sense of smell. Instead, I was given one solitary chance to enjoy an aroma. Repeated sniffs yielded nothing, teaching me to cherish the whiff I was given, because there would not be continuous opportunities to smell the coffee or the roses. I learned that experiencing fear would awaken anxiety and uncertainty that I thought previously resolved. But I was also awakened to the knowledge that allowing those feelings to flow through me would bring back my peaceful place. Of the many things COVID-19 taught me, and there are more, most of all, I have been reminded that life was, is, and will always be a roller coaster ride with breathtaking highs and calming lows. And although we know that this ride will end, we still hope that it won't, because being alive here, now, with you gives rise to benefits without limit. Deborah bowing out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very nice.
Thank you.
I'll bow in for another batch. There once was a student of Zen who said, life, it's twists and it bends, but I'm not a nutter. I'll flow like hot butter, making love and not war without end.
Very good.
That's good.
That's a good one.
For all the earth holders out there. Earth sings as sun warms her soil. Fish leap, birds peep and snakes coil. I rise with the day, celebrating each ray, vowing to shun what despoils. Despoils, it's a $10 word there. And then finally, my thoughts and feelings fly by. No form, no reason, no why. They wiggle and dance, so I've hardly a chance to say welcome before saying bye-bye.
Dinaki bowing in. I'm going to read a poem I wrote quite some time ago, and the name of it is called So I Decided to Give Them Blackness Instead. And I'll talk a little bit before I read it. I grew up in an inner city, and then when I got married and had children, we lived in an inner city. And I used to be upset every time people would talk about what they called the ghetto. It's where I lived, and it was where everything was very comfortable and vibrant for me. So here is the poem. So I decided to give them blackness instead. It really didn't take me long to think about it, whether to give them blackness or not. My mind can work at the speed of light when it comes to my own. I too want the best for my children, good neighborhoods, a good environment. After all, we are a product of our environment. Statistics show this, you know. I grew up in one of those good environments. It wasn't called the ghetto then, just a neighborhood. My environment included people taking care of my business. The neighborhood school had teachers who were not afraid to pick up the phone and call your parents if you were messing up in school. The teachers treated you as if you could learn. Back then, it was harder to tell us we were better than other Blacks because we lived together and we could check each other out. There were Black preachers who lived in my neighborhood. Believe it or not, the church was there too. If there were Black lawyers, they also lived in my neighborhood. Black policemen, they too lived in my neighborhood. Now that's what you call crime prevention. Black doctors, nah, they didn't live in my neighborhood, but they worked there from sun up until sundown. You might not know what you wanted to be, but you didn't want to be because they too were there for all our people's shame. I believe in showing up. Yeah, I could have given my children a home in the suburbs and pretended we lived in an all-white neighborhood, but I decided to be selfish and give them blackness instead. When it comes to leaders in the community, in my neighborhood, I could point out Black people who are involved. Visual aids are important. In my neighborhood, you could speak directly to the Black poet, singer, and playwright. Firsthand knowledge is a must. You can observe close up Black carpenters and masons at work and be as curious as you want to be because my people love to be admired. In my neighborhood, my children can get their first burst of Black love. Being wanted is essential. Role models are important, and you can't be a role model if there's no one to see you modeling. If you want to sell cars, you got to give your spiel to those who can buy. No sense in giving me your spiel if my biggest problem is looking out for the next meal. You have to go out and sell your products to those who can buy. A neighborhood is its people, and people make up the environment. After all, we are a product of our environment. Statistics tell us that, you know. Choice is what life is all about, and you need firsthand information to make choices. Yeah, so I decided to be selfish and give my children blackness instead.
Oh, wonderful.
Very nice.
Good.
That was good.
Thank you.
And I am proof of that.
You are.
Jane, that were you? Can you all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to share a joke. Silly, simple joke. Probably most of you know it, but it's the only one I can remember. So I'll tell it with my best Southern drawl. They're two old guys, retired baseball players, Zeke and Jake, and they love baseball. They talk baseball night and day. They know the games, they know the teams, they know the stats and the players. And one day they're sitting around talking baseball, and Jake says to Zeke, "Do you reckon there's some baseball up in heaven?" And Zeke says, "I don't know, but why don't we make a pact? Whoever dies first is going to come back and tell the other one whether or not there's baseball up in heaven." So they do. They agree. They promise each other. And sure enough, a couple of months later, Zeke passes on. And he's a man of his word. So he comes back to Jake. And Jake says, "Oh my goodness, it's wonderful to see you. What have you got to report?" And Zeke says, "Well, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is there's baseball in heaven. And the bad news is you're pitching a doubleheader on Friday."
That's good.
Very good.
That's nice.
Good joke telling.
Mhm.
Oh.
Jackie bowing in. I didn't know what I was going to share. And last night I did some writing, but it really didn't seem like what I wanted to say. And then yesterday, Ron and Nancy and I went to down to the Battery. I took some of Heather's signs and meditated and walked with the people there, with the Black Lives Matter group. And it was a really sweet bunch of people. I was just really enjoyed being with those people. So anyway, I woke up at 2 o'clock this morning and was thinking about all of us being connected. That we're all one, as Heather says, we inter-are. I love that expression. And that we aren't separate from each other, and we aren't Black people and white people and Native American people. And yes, we have those things, but we're all absolutely the same people. Different backgrounds and different skin color, but we're all the same people. So then I started writing, and this is what I wrote. Some of us, there is no them. We are all one. We inter-are. Some of us are peaceful. Some of us are violent. Some of us say potato, and some of us say potato. Some of us have names like Jackie, John, Shaniqua, Lavan. Some of us speak Ebonics. Some of us pronounce ASK, ask, and some X. Some of us have silky blonde hair. Some of us have kinky black hair. Some of us are bald, but it's all us. Some of us live in ghettos. Some of us are homeless. Some of us couldn't swim in public swimming pools. Some of us started riots in the streets. Some of us shot each other. Some of our ancestors were enslaved. Some of our ancestors were slave owners. Some of us were denied the right to vote. Some of us feel out of place with people who have different skin tones. Some of us are single mothers. Some of us can't dance. Some of our brothers, sons, husbands are stopped by the police because they're driving expensive cars. Some of us are more likely to die of COVID-19. Some of us are angry. Some of us are scared. Some of us are sad. Some of us have pale skin. Some of us have dark skin. Some of us have medium toned skin because our grandmothers were raped. Some of us are in Portland, Oregon, protesting and destroying property. Some of us are abused about our skin color because of the abuser's beliefs. Some of us believe dark skin color makes us less worthy of respect. Some of us respect ourselves. Some of us respect everybody. Some of us have killed people because of the color of their skin. Some of us are unaware that we are all one. Some of us marched in Selma, Alabama. Some of us get beaten by police. Some of us get sickle cell anemia. Some of us are afraid to walk down a dark street. Some of us believe guns will keep us safe. Some of us earn less money than others. Some of us mourn John Lewis's death. Some of us are afraid of trouble. Some of us make good trouble. Some of us love our children. Some of us fear for our children. Some of us are peaceful. Some of us are angry and hateful. Some of us care deeply. Some of us want love and peace of mind. All of us are worthy of love and peace of mind.
Oh, that was beautiful, Jackie.
Yeah.
It was. Thank you.
Very nice.
It was so clear to me
Mm.
that there's no difference. No difference in people.
Thank you, Jackie.
Welcome. Thank you.
Well, the most common image of the Buddha that I see is the one that's constantly smiling. And it's really Western Buddhism has taken itself so seriously that folks don't realize that happiness and is really part of the message of Buddhism. So, of course, I couldn't help myself, and I scoured the internet for some Buddhist jokes. So, pretend you're in a smoky club, and I'm actually famous and good. And I know you've been in those clubs. And I'll just start with a club joke. What does a Buddhist comedian say when the audience stops laughing? I know you're out there. I can concentrate on your breathing. What happens when a Buddhist becomes totally absorbed with the computer he is working with? He enters nirvana. Why did the Buddhist coroner get fired? He kept marking the cause of death as birth. A Zen student asked his master if it's okay to use email. Yes, replied the master, but with no attachments. What did the Buddha say when they tried to evict him? Namaste. There was a Buddhist cat. Sorry, there was a Buddhist cat meditating on what am I doing with my lives. A monk saying to the Grim Reaper, "You again?" And then closing out my act. What did the sign in the monastery searching for new monks say? Inquire within.
That's great. Woo!
Very good.
Funny.
And bowing in. I was going to read you a poem that I've had for many years that I keep coming back to, and maybe you'll understand why when you hear it. It's called Broken Water Glass, and it's a poem that was written by Allison Lutterman. Dinner with friends, tired, a little tipsy, telling old jokes. Why do women have no depth perception? Because they're always told that this, hold up thumb and first finger, a disbelieving small space, is 10 inches. The crash of laughter, then clear and fine as if of water itself, slipped from my hand and smashed a broken mess where before had posed a delicate goblet, etched with flowers and fruit, a few fragile reeds. In your family, for 4 or 5 generations, I'm so sorry. It's nothing, but don't blame yourself. I have others. All the while, the jagged pieces carefully wrapped are carried to the garbage, like a corpse hurriedly whisked away. The dripping ice cube puddles quickly mopped, not to ruin the mahogany's finish. Goodbye, broken glass, the latest but not the last in a long line of precious possessions known to crack in a moment like eggshells, or come apart slowly in your hands like the petals of something not meant to be grasped. Each year broken open anew, as at a wedding, the groom deliberately smashes underfoot a sacrifice of broken wine glass to symbolize the bride's virginity, to warn us not to take happiness lightly, although it must be taken lightly. So many things are broken in private. A child's feelings, which shatter like a puzzle the adult must spend a lifetime piecing together. No one can make it whole again, although a pattern may be seen that etched reeds, the fruit, the bending flowers. And each elusive fragment handled carefully and appreciated in and of itself has beauty still. Still for whole winters at a time, we may wake daily to the leftover shard of glass dug deep into our hearts, the one we know best how to twist from the blood of old mistakes. Thank God we are women of flesh and not glass who can endure breakage left and right and still keep setting out full cups of wine in place of food for the unexpected. No guarantees. Yet you should not withhold your best crystal or feelings, preferring the splinters to the cupboard. Buddhists believe the way to live is to see everything as already broken. Our youth, lives, loves, possessions, bodies, along with our mistakes, already shattered asunder underground. Then and only then can we drink freely from the clear glass of knowledge and laugh at the circular and encircling story that we are telling each other, our lives etched on water.
Nice.
Thank you.
Yes.
I've always liked that.
Very nice.
Thank you, Anne.
Tina bowing in. I didn't do my homework on writing anything or do anything like that because I just didn't. I'm not a writer. I mean, I write maybe a little bit like notes and everything. But what I've been into is learning about women in the past and how they have helped women today. Started out with watching Harriet Tubman on HBO. It was a movie called Harriet. The actress was up for Academy Award this year. So many things I didn't know about Harriet Tubman. In Romeo, we have a house supposedly was used for the Underground Railroad. And I walked by that many times. There's a sign on the door that says 1814. And I just wonder what that history is of that house. And so I'm really into wanting to know more. I'm thinking back on when I was in school, did I learn about Harriet Tubman? Did I learn about that stuff? And so then I watched that, and then PBS is having a special on different women and how they influence today. There's Native Americans, there's women of color, there's, everybody. And so there's a different series. So I am really into learning about this stuff because I didn't learn about it. We didn't really learn about women in history in high school. And so I'm like, I want to start learning and start researching more. And so that's what I'm into. I'm into learning about women and how, and the funny thing is, 100 years later, women are still they're still fighting for the rights of what they did 100 years ago. So anyhow, that's what I'm doing, is I am going to educate myself and learn more about women because I have 3 granddaughters and I want to make sure that they know how women have helped our society. So that's what I'm into, not writing, but learning. So Tina bowing out.
Yay, Tina.
Dave bowing in. Just to riff on that for a second, the New York Times has a section where they do obituaries of pretty much people that were marginalized at the time that they died, but had made significant contributions to science, sociology, religion, and of course, many of them are women, and they're just fascinating. I mean, the fact that they weren't recognized at the time of their death is just amazing, but it's a really nice series. It sounds strange, but it's a really nice series. And a lot of those, again, are women who made big contributions.
Nice.
Jeannie bowing in. Hi. I wanted to say something about John Lewis. I wanted to find something, a poem, and I own this book. I don't know if you can see it. Alice Walker, and it's called. Let me see.
There you go.
Take an air.
Okay, and so the poem that I chose is called "The New Dark Ages" for Martin. And of course, it's by Alice Walker. And I chose this poem because when John Lewis was 18, he wrote a letter to Martin Luther King, and Martin Luther King responded by sending him a bus ticket to Memphis. So I'm just going to read this poem. As we slip into the new dark ages, you become more dear to me. Your face, your smile, that carefully trimmed, never to turn gray hair. We may not emerge from this darkness in my lifetime. And yet I think of you so often, smiling or laughing outright, your sturdy frame gallant and ready for the fight. Though it is true that you left home like the Buddha to find a way for all of us, leaving your wife and children to suffer a most peculiar loneliness. And yes, the children, some of them, would be lost. Still, we miss you dreadfully as we miss so many others who left us with this one desire that no matter How deep the fall into obscurity and obscenity this new age portends. Life might permit us to remain standing, if only on the inside, smiling and laughing with you among the solemn army who went out into the darkness all those years ago, always singing to examine the path and be the light.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
Very nice. Yeah.
And welcome back.
Yeah, it's nice to see you.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go next. Nancy bowing in. I'm going to read a poem by Langston Hughes. I'm not sure if people are familiar with him. He was an incredibly prolific writer, born in 1902 and died in 1967. He was part of the Black Renaissance, the Harlem Renaissance movement, and he wrote all kinds of short stories, plays, children's books, primarily poetry, but just an incredible writer. So this poem sort of struck me that, you know, it's so pertinent today. It's called "Let America Be America Again," and I think it just shows, you know, his disappointment with how things were going. He wrote it in 1935. So he was, he was about 32 years old when he wrote it. Let America be America again. Excuse me. Let it be the dream it used to be. Let it be the pioneer on the plain, seeking a home where he himself is free. America never was America to me. Let America be the dreamer's dream. Let it be that great, strong land of love, where never kings connive nor tyrants scheme, that any man be crushed by one above. It never was America to me. Oh, let my land be a land where liberty is crowned with no false patriotic wealth. But opportunity is real and life is free. Equality is in the air we breathe. There's never been equality for me, nor freedom in this homeland of the free. Say, who are you that mumbles in the dark? And who are you that draws your veil across the stars? I am the poor white, fooled and pushed apart. I am the Negro bearing slavery's scars. I am the red man driven from the land. I am the immigrant clutching the hope I seek and finding only the same old stupid plan of dog eat dog or mighty crush the weak. I am the young man full of strength and hope, tangled in that ancient endless chain of profit, power, gain, or grab the land. Oh, grab the gold, of grab the ways of satisfying need, of work the men, of take the pay, of owning everything for one's own greed. I am the farmer, bonded to the soil. I am the worker sold to the machine. I am the Negro servant to you all. I am the people, humble, hungry, me. Hungry yet today despite the dream. Beaten yet today, oh, pioneers, I'm the man who never got ahead, the poorest worker bartered through the years. Yet I'm the one who dreamt our basic dream in the old world while still a serf of kings, who dreamt a dream so strong, so brave, so true, that even yet its mighty daring sings in every brick and stone, in every furrow turned. That's made America the land it has become. Oh, I'm the man who sailed those early seas in search of what I meant to be my home. For I'm the one who left dark Ireland's shore and Poland's plain and England's grassy lea, and torn from black Africa's strand, I came to build a homeland of the free. The free. Who said the free? Not me. Surely not me. The millions on relief today, the millions shot down when we strike, the millions who have nothing for our pay, for all the dreams we've dreamed, and all the songs we've sung, and all the hopes we've held, and all the flags we've hung. The millions who have nothing for our pay except the dream that's almost dead today. Oh, let America be America again, the land that never has been yet, and yet must be the land where every man is free. The land that's mine, the poor man's, Indians, Negroes, me. Who made America? Whose sweat and blood, whose faith and pain, whose hand at the foundry, whose plow in the rain, must bring back our mighty dream again. Sure, call me any ugly name you choose. The steel of freedom does not stain. From those who live like leeches on the people's lives, we must take back our land again. America, oh yes, I say it plain. America never was America to me. And yet I swear this oath, America will be. Out of the rack and ruin of our gangster death, the rape and rot of graft and stealth and lies, we the people must redeem the land, the mines, the plants, the rivers, the mountains, and the endless plain. All the stretch of these great green states, and make America again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
He's an incredible writer.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's timeless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nancy.
90 years ago.
Okay, I'll go. More limericks. I know I'm resilient enough to deal with the world and its guff. I study the Dharma, invest in good karma to transform the stuff that is rough.
Very good.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2.
Okay.
I wonder who is to blame, but the answer is always the same. We each do our best. It's life that's the test. Just accept both the sun and the rain.
Very good.
And then this is a little variation. Little Miss Mindfulness, practicing kindfulness, smiled and walked through her day. Along came the climate, the virus, the violence, and she had something to say. Oh yes? In the present moment I stay. Oh yay! In the present moment I stay.
All right.
Very well done. Very well done.
Clarissa bowing in. This is a poem that I wrote in 2001, and it's in praise of the African Orisha Yemeya, and she is the goddess of water, of the oceans and rivers. And initially she was rivers, and then she became to be all the waters of the world. Spring Equinox 2001. I am Yemeya. I lay an impression in wet sand. So immense I arc, drawing the gravity of the moon, shifting atmospheric heat, frozen continents, currents, calling forth rain, wave, hurricane. Inspiration of my breath pulls the tide upon the shore. Exhalation pushes life energy into the vast waters of the world. My sighs create precise moments of perfect light, sun, and wind. Life itself emerged from my oceans. Deep in my depths, devoid of sunlight, it persists. Barrier reefs explode. Starfish undulate in my shallows. Octopi propel. Dolphin leap. Whales sing. I am the beginning. I am.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank
Thank
you.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
Deborah bowing in. I wanted to say to Clarissa, when I was young, I danced in an African dance company, and we did a dance called Yemenya.
Yeah.
All the movements were very fluid and flowing, and when you were reciting your poem, I could see the dance in my head. Thank you. Deborah bowing out.
This is Deborah bowing in. I'm in the West Virginia wilds, and I don't have a very good internet connection. And at some point, Heather muted me, so I don't know if I was being annoying or if it's the game in the window. I don't know.
Me
I'm
too,
not taking
Deborah.
it personally. Oh, somebody else got muted?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't take it personally.
Good. Well, I know because my internet connection comes and goes, and you're all a little jerky sometimes. I thought, well, I better stick to something short. So I'm going to give you two of the world's shortest horror stories.
Cool.
You ready? Number one. The last man on earth sits alone in a room. There is a lock on the door. Number two. The last man on earth sits alone in a room. There is a knock on the door. Great entertainment for kids, great entertainment for the Sangha.
Thank God for locks.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank God for locks.
Deborah bowing out.
Sounds like a cone.
Okay. Thanks, Deborah.
Bonnie bowing in. A friend sent me this yesterday and I liked it. I hope you do too. In 2006, a high school English teacher asked students to write a famous author and ask for advice. Kurt Vonnegut was the only one that responded, and his response was magnificent. Dear Xavier High School and Mrs. Lockwood and her students, I thank you for your friendly letters. You sure know how to cheer up a really old geezer of 84 in his sunset years. I don't make public appearances anymore because I now resemble nothing so much as an iguana. What I had to say, moreover, would not take long, to wit, practice any art, music, singing, dancing, acting, drawing, painting, sculpting, poetry, fiction, essays, repartee, no matter how well or how badly, not to get money or fame, but to experience becoming, to find out what's inside you, to make your soul grow. Seriously, I mean, starting right now, do art and do it the rest of your lives. Draw a funny or a nice picture of Mrs. Lockwood and give it to her. Dance home after school and sing in the shower and on and on. Make a face in your mashed potatoes. Pretend you're Count Dracula. Here's an assignment for tonight, and I hope Mrs. Lockwood will flunk you if you don't do it. Write a 6-line poem about anything, but rhymed. Make it as good as you possibly can, but don't tell anybody what you're doing. Don't show it or recite it to anyone, not even your girlfriend, your parents, or whoever, or Mrs. Lockwood, okay? Now tear it up in teeny-weeny pieces and discard them into widely separated trash receptacles. You will find that you'll have already been gloriously rewarded for your poem. You've experienced becoming. Learn a lot more about what's inside you, and you have made your soul grow. God bless you all. Kurt Vonnegut.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Huh.
Thank you.
Very
Lynn and Jane bowing in, because we do things side by side. So we have a little something for you.
Uh-oh.
Just 1 moment, please.
You're dressed alike.
Side by side. Side by side. Here we are. When you're starting to study the Dharma, try not to damage your karma. Just settle your mind, then you will find lasting peace. If you follow the way that your breath flows, you'll understand where your mind goes. Just settle your mind, then you will find lasting peace. Once you see our oneness, you'll throw away your fears. Every day, filled with fun, just learn to love and laugh at the tears. If you're mindful of what you are doing, even when troubles are brewing, just settle your mind, then you will find lasting peace. Through all stormy weather, whatever may befall, just as long as we've got Heather, it doesn't matter at all. Just continue stay in the present. You'll find that you're luminescent. Just settle your mind, then you will find lasting peace. Just settle your mind, then you will find lasting peace.
Very cute. Perfect.
Beautiful. Just beautiful.
It's
Thank you.
That was great.
practice that.
We'll have lessons.
Well, on that note, that's a tough act to follow. Well, I just want to thank you all because it is indeed 8:30. We have had a wonderful be-in. You all caught on to this like magic. So bravo. Thank you everyone for sharing. Did anyone have anything that they wanted to add before we complete our evening tonight?
Yes, I have one last thing. Tomorrow is Heather's birthday.
Oh.
Happy birthday.
Happy Continuation Day.
Continuation Day. Okay, somebody.
Happy continuation
Day.
Happy continuation day.
And many
Yay,
more.
thank you. And thank you, Bonnie, my mother, for all of your labor and toil.
Yes.
Good.
Yes, we'll celebrate together.
That's right. All right.
This
Well,
is fun.
yes, and I hope that now that you've caught the bee-in fever, that you'll be open to doing this again sometime, because they're great fun.
It was fun.
In terms of announcements, I would like to just remind everyone that there's the Racial Justice Project survey that I've sent out a couple of times. If you haven't completed it yet, please do, because tomorrow we're going to start analyzing the results. So please take a moment and make sure your comments are counted. And then next week, Dave and I again will be out of town, and Deborah our valiant volunteer has agreed to step in. Deborah, do you want to say anything about what you'll be sharing next week?
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about gratitude, getting to gratitude.
Getting to gratitude. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Good.
so much. And I hope that by next week you'll be able to be back with us in Somerville as well. So
Yeah, kind of that.
yes. Are there any more announcements for this evening?
Yes, I'll be going back to Battery at 8:30 in the morning. I really enjoy it, and they told me that they feel safer and enjoy our positivity.
That's good.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you. And that's next Sunday, correct?
Every Sunday, yes.
Excellent. All right. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and share the merit and then form our closing circle. And perhaps we can hear a few more details about what happened last Sunday after we close for this evening. So, being joyful together and practicing the way of awareness gives rise to benefits without limit. We vow to offer the fruit of our practice to all beings. We vow to offer tribute and happiness to our friends, teachers, numerous beings who give us guidance and support along the path.
No, Bunny.
Baby Michaela.
Deborah and Ginaki.
Joe.
Michelle and Ray.
Clarissa.
Kaylee.
Christy.
Jerry, Howard,
Jerry.
John.
Marlo.
Katie.
The families wrestling with the start of school.
William.
Diane.
Nita.
Deanne.
Bill.
May we hold those names who we've spoken and those names who are left unspoken in our mindful awareness, extending compassion and loving kindness. Thank you, everyone.